Hello everyone, this is Sumit Bose and I'm from the Bodhi Academy. Today we are going to explain the chapter, the English lesson, expert detectives. Okay, so without any further delay, let's start. As we walked back towards the clinic, Seven said, Seven means what is the name of his name is Nishad, a boy of 7 year old, a boy of seven, also called Seven because his name means the seventh note of the musical scale, and his 10-year-old sister is Maya. So these are the main characters, okay, of the story, and very curious about Mr. Nath. Then one day, the children's marble rolls into Mr. Nath's room, and and Nishad gets a chance to see him. Is he a crook to run? Why is his face badly scarred? Why has he no friend? Nishad's mother, a doctor, knows Mr. Nath as a patient who is very polite. Okay, so they are just curious about Mr. Nath, about the true identity of Mr. Nath. So let's start. As we walk back towards the clinic, Seven said, "He doesn't look like a monster, Maya. But did you see how thin he is? Maybe he's very poor and can't afford to eat." "He can't be poor if he is a crook on the run, I told him. He's probably got millions of rupees stashed away somewhere in that room." "Do you really think he's a criminal, Maya?" "He doesn't look like one." Nishad looked doubtful. "Of course he is. He is one, Seven," I said. "And he certainly isn't starving. Mr. Mehta told us that Ramesh brings his meals up from the restaurant downstairs." "But Maya, Mr. Mehta told us he doesn't work anywhere. So how can he possibly have money to pay for food?" So this is Nishad, this is Maya, this is sister, and this is the Mr. Nath which they are talking about. Okay, they are curious about. According to Maya, Mr. Nath is a criminal. Okay, but Seven or Nishad has a different point of view. Exactly, I explained. He must have lots of money hidden somewhere, maybe in the trunk in the room. It's probably full of silver and golds and jewels and what rubbish, Nishad interrupted. "I know I'm right, stupid," I told him. "By the way, Seven, did you see his scars?" I couldn't. It was too dark, but I bet he got them during a during a shootout with the police or something. Mummy told us quite clearly they were burn scars, Nishad said firmly. "Perhaps the police had to set his house on fire to force him out," I suggested. Seven looked unsure. On the Monday following Mama's birthday, Seven went alone with her in the clinic of Giragam, and as I was spending the evening with school friend, when they returned, Nishad told me he'd been to see Mr. Nath, and I felt most annoyed that I hadn't been there. Seven had been quite upset about Mr. Nath's gaunt appearance and was sure that he was starving. He told me that he had knocked loudly Mr. Nath's door that evening and said, "Open the door quickly, Mr. Nath." The man had opened it and asked him, "Lost another marble?" He had obviously recognized my brother. "No," said Nishad. He had taken the man's hand in his own and thrust a bar of chocolate into it. "Did you get a chance to peek into his trunk, Seven?" I asked. Nishad looked disappointed. "He didn't even ask me in," he said. Then he smiled. "But I did find out something, Maya. I went down the restaurant where Ramesh works and talked to him." "Good for you, Mr. Detective," I said, patting him on the back. "I hope you questioned him properly." Seven looked pleased. "Ramesh told me that he takes 2 meals for Mr. Nath every morning and evening, and 2 cups of tea, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Ramesh says he is not very particular of what he eats. It's always the same food, 2 chapatis, some dal, and a vegetable. Mr. Nath pays in cash and tips well. Ramesh told me something very strange, Maya," Seven added. "Almost every Sunday, he carries 2 lunches to Mr. Nath's room, and the same man is with him each time. He is tall, fair, stout, and wears spectacles. Ramesh says his visitor talks a lot, unlike Mr. Nath, who hardly speaks." "Well done, Nishad," I told him. "Now that we have made some progress with our inquiries, we will have to sort out all the facts like expert detectives that we can trap the crook." How do you go on, Maya? Seven sighed. How can you possibly imagine he's a crook? He looks so ordinary. Criminals can look quite ordinary, Smarty, I reported. Did you see the picture of Hyderabadi housebreaker in the papers yesterday? He looked like any man on the street. Nishad looked doubtful. The monsoons broke in the next day, dark clouds accompanied by blinding flashes of lightning and roaring rolls of thunder burst with all their fury, flooding the streets with a heavy downpour. School was to have reopened after the summer holidays, but no traffic could move through the flooded roads, and there was an unexpected holiday. I thought I would spend the time usefully. I sat at my desk in our bedroom with a sheet of paper before me. So let's go to move on to next unit. Okay, catching up. Then I began writing. About half an hour later, I turned towards Seven, who was lying on his tummy, chin cupped in his palms, reading comics. Want to hear what I have written? I asked. He looked up questioningly. I have listed all the facts we know about Mr. Nath, which might help us to trap him, I said. Want to hear? Seven nodded. Fact number one, I read. His name is Mr. Nath. We must discover his first name. Do you think that is his real name, Maya? Nishad asked. Probably not, I said. Most crooks have an alias. I added a big question mark after Nath. Fact number two, I read on. The tenants at Shankar House say he is mad, strange and unfriendly. Number three, he doesn't talk to anyone and is mannerless. But he talked to us. He did talk to us, Maya, and Mama says he is very polite, Nishad interrupted. He only talked to us because he had to, I said. And since he was under Mama's medical treatment, he had to be polite. Fact number four, he doesn't receive any letters. Seven nodded. Number five, he is been living in room number 10 of Shankar House for more than a year, I continued. Number six, he doesn't work and sits in his room all day. Number seven, the kids in the Shankar House, even some of the grown-ups, are scared of him. Number 8. He has no visitors except for a spectacled, fair, fat man who visits him on Sundays for lunch. Number 9. Food and tea are taken to his room by Ramesh from the restaurant downstairs. He doesn't care what he eats, pays his bill immediately and tips well. That's in my list. Have I forgotten anything, 7? Nishad had obviously not been paying attention to my list of facts. All he could say was, poor man Maya, he must be so lonely. If he doesn't have any friends, how can a crook have friends, idiot? I almost shouted. At last he has one friend, the one who meets him on Sundays, said Nishad. A brilliant thought occurred to me just then. That man must be Mr. Nath's accomplice in crime, I said. Maybe he keeps all the loot and he comes now and then to give a part to his partner, Mr. Nath, for expenses. That's it. I'm sure I'm right. If you insist on calling him a criminal, I don't think I want to discuss anything with you, Maya, said Nishad angrily. He can't be such a bad man if he gives Ramesh such generous tips. Ramesh probably knows something about his past, so Mr. Nath is bribing him to keep quiet. Nishad glared at me with his arms tightly crossed across the chest. I was beginning to get fed up with him. How can we make any progress without investigation if you take that attitude, 7? I asked. I'll cooperate only if you give up the idea about him being a scapegoat, said 7. You're really making me angry. I almost hit him. I make you angry, you stupid oaf, I shouted. You make me mad. What is the point of all these inquiries if he is not a crook? If you think he is a nobody, what's the idea of bothering about him? Please tell me. Nishad looked thoughtful. I would like to find out why he is so thin and why he is so lonely. I want to know why he doesn't have any friends and lives alone. Try to understand, 7, I told him. If he's lived in Shankar house for a year and hasn't made a single friend, there's something wrong. He is obviously scared of someone who will recognize him and give him up to the cops. Maybe no one's tried to make him friends with him, Nishad protested. Why should anyone bother? You're seen what a nasty bear he is, I said. I don't care. said Nisha stubbornly. I like him, and I'm going to try to be my friend. Friends with a crook? Ha! You're crazy, Seven, I said. The cops will take you to jail with him. Do you want that to happen, you idiot? Nishad merely glared at me and quietly walked out of the room. My theories seemed to have made no impression to him at all. Okay, I hope you all understood it, and for more information and details, please contact the Bodhi Academy.